Also new tonight here on The Current, Catholic churches across the country are seeing some of the highest numbers of new Catholics in recent years. New data from the New York Times and the National Catholic Register looked at dioceses of all sizes across the U.S., and they found that adult conversions are soaring. Even close to us, the Diocese of Des Moines, right up there, with the convert number up 51% from last year, according to the Times. But what's driving all of this? For that, we turn to Christy Nabhan Warren, religious studies professor at the University of Iowa and a national expert on the Catholic Church. Christy, thank you so much for being here with us today. We specifically cited Des Moines, but is this happening all across the country?
Yes, it sure is. And Shelby, thank you so much for reaching out. It sure is. This is definitely a nationwide trend. It cuts across regions, it cuts across urban, rural, micropolitans, as well as age groups. I think it speaks to humans' needs for human connections, human created communities. Folks who may have grown up Catholic but who haven't gone to church in a while, they're feeling very called to go back to church to raise their families. And what we're seeing across the board, again, across region, age, income level, class, is just very personal reasons for conversion. It's not so much one church teaching or encyclical, and nothing against Pope Leo, I'm a fan, but not so much. I don't think we can even trace this to Pope Leo being the first American Pope. I think what we're seeing is a longing for community, a longing for answers in an age where it feels like so much is out of our control.
So then when you go back throughout history, in previous times when the U.S., I'm thinking, has been at war with a Middle Eastern country, inflation is high, gas prices are high, do we historically see higher convert numbers when things like this happen?
We do. I think that, historian scholars look at continuity and change. And so I think what you're bringing up here is continuity. When we see uncertainty in our lives, our human made lives, individuals tend to turn to those things, such as the institution of the Roman Catholic Church, where they can go, they can be surrounded by beauty, they can be around other people, they can raise their children in a place that feels very safe and like home. I think that certainly we saw this at the turn of the last 2 centuries as well. During wartime, during the last major church council, Vatican II, we saw many Catholics very excited about the church opening its doors to the modern world, and we saw more Catholics coming in. So I think absolutely what we're seeing now is very much in line with what we've seen in previous centuries.
There seems to be a really interesting juxtaposition when it comes to technology in the church. You see the church openly turning more to technology. You even have a millennial saint that was appointed a few months ago. But then at the same time, you have this argument about technology is turning people away and toward the church. So how do you marry those two opposing ideas?
I think you're bringing up really such the crux of the issue here. I've been thinking a lot about juxtapositions, right? And ironies, right? And so in an age where more and more people are understanding that we're living in a tech AI saturated world, there's some embracing of it, but there's also some turning away from it. How can, in terms of Catholicism, how can we use and harness technology to enhance our faith? But also, how can we get off the screen and go in human made human places, in places like churches, and when we can have this other kind of experience?
We've been reporting for several years now on how our local dioceses here in the QCA, both on the Iowa and the Illinois side, are losing members year over year. They're losing priests. We're seeing dozens of churches in our area closing. How does this all fit into the new trend that we're seeing of rising amounts of converts?
I think, again, boy, you're asking excellent questions, Shelby. I think that indeed what we've seen over the last 2 decades are consolidations of Catholic Church parishes in the rural area. My last book very much focused on this. So you've got longtime white ethnic Catholics, parishes really changing dynamically and becoming more Latino, more Congolese, African Catholicism. So I think that it'll be really interesting to see what happens over the next 5 years, 10 years. I think that we're going to see more of this resurgency. I think there's a hunger, there is a longing for mystery, there's a longing for beauty. stained glass windows, incense, community. I think that while we may continue to see some consolidations among parishes, but I think we might see more dynamic ethnic spaces, maybe more young people. Evangelical Christianity has made a lot of inroads among the youth, Protestant youth. Roman Catholicism has not. They've lost a lot of numbers over the last few decades. I'm curious, as a scholar, we have to lead with curiosity. I'm curious to see whether or not the Roman Catholic Church in the United States will become more youthful. All of the signs are pointing to that it may be indeed. And so we'll just have to wait and see. As a scholar, I'm eager to see what will happen.
Yeah, me too, especially when you think about the majority of these adult convert numbers. A lot of those people fall into that category of like 18 to 35 age range, which is fascinating.
Yes.
But Christy, before I let you
Yeah.
go, I know you study Catholicism specifically, but through your work broader in religious studies at the University of Iowa, are you seeing the same type of trend more broadly across all denominations?
I think absolutely yes. I think most intensely we're seeing it right now, spiking converts and Catholics coming back to the fold. We're seeing it really strongly among Catholics, but we've been seeing this among evangelical Protestant Christians for over the last 2 decades. We're also seeing this among Islam. I think it comes down to a human need for togetherness, for hope, for optimism, and to just come together to try to make a better world. So
We'll certainly see it on display this weekend all across our region and the country as Easter hits. Christy, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate this. And for you guys at home, if you want to share this story, our online version is up at WQAD.com underneath the As Seen on TV tab at the top of the homepage.